Hi, today we will explain the storyline of the movie Devil's Pond, which was released in 2009. Okay, let's get right to the story. Julianne has just married her beloved Mitch after dating for about a year. Their wedding was held simply at a church, followed by a reception and farewell party. Before parting with the guests, Julianne promised her mother she would return after the honeymoon to celebrate her birthday. In the days that followed, Julianne enjoyed her new life with Mitch. They decided to go on a honeymoon, adventuring in a remote cabin in the middle of a lake. Julianne felt very satisfied, having successfully reached the place after a 1-hour drive. For the first time, she fulfilled her dream of adventuring in nature thanks to Mitch. She thought they would be free to do whatever they wanted together. Mitch planned to spend 2 weeks there. After getting out of the car, Julianne asked Mitch how he found the cabin. Mitch said that he saw it while hunting with his father a year ago. To reach the cabin, they had to row a boat first. Throughout the trip, Julianne felt anxious because she couldn't swim and was very afraid that their boat would capsize. However, Mitch assured her that the boat was safe and sturdy. While paddling, Mitch shared happy childhood memories of his father, often taking him and his brother to play at similar locations. In the afternoon, they arrived at the cabin. Julianne immediately took out her phone to let her mother know she had arrived. Unfortunately, there was no signal at all. Mitch asked if she wanted to go back, but Julianne refused, thinking it would make their adventure even more exciting. In short, they went inside to put down their belongings while looking around the cabin. The small cabin seemed simple and old, with several scratches on the wooden walls. On one of the walls, Julianne saw the initials S.R. and J.R., which she assumed were left by previous visitors. There were no electronic devices because there was no electricity. Julianne enjoyed their first smooth night, and they spent the next morning repairing the leaky cabin roof. That evening, they casually discussed their future while lighting a campfire. Julianne had studied veterinary medicine, but she aspired to continue her career as an artist. If she had finished school, she would be a veterinarian now. They then discussed the topic of children. Mitch was very enthusiastic about having a family of his own, but Julianne was not yet sure. The next day, Julianne woke up early to see the lake rippling quite strongly. Although she felt anxious seeing it, Julianne tried to walk a little further to overcome her phobia. After Mitch woke up, he invited Julianne to swim with him. However, Julianne explained that she didn't want her makeup to get ruined and asked Mitch not to push her into the water. She hadn't told Mitch about her phobia. Therefore, Mitch blew up a raft so Julianne could still enjoy the calmness of sunbathing in the fresh lake water. It turned out that Julianne enjoyed the comfort so much that she fell asleep, while Mitch watched her from afar while drinking. Without them realizing it, the balloon deflated, causing Julianne to roll over and scream for Mitch. Mitch, who was refilling his drink, rushed to save Julianne. Here, Julianne finally revealed that she couldn't swim because she was afraid of water. Despite that, she was willing to go on vacation with Mitch to the cabin because she thought she could overcome her fear with him. The next day, Julianne noticed that Mitch had a metal storage box that he always locked. She was curious about what was inside. Mitch said it only contained uninteresting items, like car keys and such. Mitch asked Julianne not to ask too many questions because there was nothing important inside. A few hours later, Mitch told her he had made a canvas easel from tree branches for Julianne so she could use it while painting. After that, they walked through the forest while planning their next activities and setting animal traps. Julianne suggested they go to town today to buy a newspaper and eat at a restaurant. Besides, she also needed to contact her mother, since there was no signal at the cabin. However, Mitch disagreed with her. Mitch argued that it would take an hour to drive to the city. He thought that they couldn't take any chances if they wanted to explore the wilderness. Reluctantly, Julianne agreed. However, Julianne actually felt anxious and isolated. After 10 days in the cabin, Julianne tried to persuade Mitch to go home. She wasn't used to being without communication with others, especially her mother, even though she enjoyed being with Mitch. Mitch was annoyed because they had planned to vacation for 2 weeks. He didn't like his plans being ruined so easily. As a result, they argued without either of them willing to back down. Julianne couldn't understand Mitch's emotional behavior, which she had never seen before. Julianne began to suspect that Mitch was hiding something from her. Mitch snapped at Julianne and told her to do as he said. He avoided a bigger argument by saying he would check his animal traps. Julianne became frustrated. she immediately started rummaging through the items in the cabin. A few hours later, Mitch was startled to see the house in disarray and apologized to Julianne, who was still sulking. The next day, Julianne was upset again because her medicine box was missing. Mitch claimed he had no idea how it could have disappeared. Julianne was extremely upset because there were birth control pills inside, and she wasn't ready to get pregnant. Mitch said it wasn't a problem because they were already married and could start a family right away. However, Julianne made it clear that she wanted to have children someday, not anytime soon. Once again, she urged Mitch to go home. Mitch's reaction didn't change. He was still annoyed by Julianne's constant nagging to go home. Mitch's increasingly authoritarian attitude left Julianne confused and frustrated. When Mitch went hunting, she learned to muster the courage to dip her feet in the water. Day by day, that's what Julianne did. She tried to overcome her fear until she succeeded. One day, Mitch woke up startled to find Julianne wasn't beside him. It turned out Julianne was out on the lake in a boat, fishing. After fishing, Julianne caught Mitch taking one of her paintings off the wall and putting it in a metal box. Startled, Mitch dropped the metal box, spilling its contents. Julianne was shocked to see a piece of tissue she had once drawn on at a restaurant. At that time, Julianne was still dating another man. This made Julianne remember how she and Mitch first met at the bus stop. She concluded that Mitch had been waiting for her and had been targeting her for a long time. Mitch did not deny the accusation. He did not want to ask Julianne out on a date directly, so he deliberately arranged a way to get to know her. However, Julianne did not like Mitch's approach. This revelation made Julianne even more suspicious that Mitch was hiding something else about her. That day was the 14th day of their vacation at the cabin. It was time for them to go home. Julianne asked for Mitch's car keys. However, Mitch didn't keep his promise. He refused to let Julianne go home alone. He claimed he still needed to stay longer at the cabin to get used to his marriage with Julianne. This, of course, made Julianne angry. Mitch, feeling defensive, accused Julianne of not understanding him and looking for reasons to distance herself from him. They started arguing again. Julianne accused Mitch of being insecure about being with her and worried that Julianne would find someone better if she went home first. Mitch responded by saying that Julianne was just a spoiled child whose every wish was always granted. Their argument escalated when Mitch pushed Julianne hard, and Julianne hit her husband with a bottle, knocking him to the ground. Julianne then rushed to grab her phone and headed toward the boat. She paddled as hard as she could toward the dock across from the cabin, where their car was parked on the path. Mitch wasn't giving up. He swam after Julianne, calling out her name. A few minutes later, Julianne arrived at the forest, but there were no keys in the car. She also tried to call, but her phone battery was dead. Frustrated, Julianne threw the phone until it broke. As night fell, Mitch managed to cross over. He found Julianne's broken phone, but by then, Julianne was already hiding. Not far from there, Julianne was startled to see a strange grave nearby. Julianne continued hiding, but Mitch managed to find her. Feeling cornered, she decided to make amends with Mitch and apologize for running away from him. In the middle of the night while Julianne was asleep, Mitch quietly got up to sink their boat. When Julianne woke up the next morning, she was shocked to see that the boat was gone. Julianne, who was both annoyed and bored, couldn't paint calmly, while Mitch relaxed and played the guitar. He seemed to be enjoying the tranquility of the day. Suddenly, in the distance, Julianne saw the life jacket from the boat floating on the lake. She hurriedly grabbed a fishing rod and dragged the bag toward her. Mitch, peeking at her from the window, didn't suspect anything, thinking she was just fishing. Luckily, when she managed to pull the bag up, Mitch didn't see her. Julianne admitted she hadn't caught any fish yet. As night fell, Mitch said he was going into town for a while. Julianne pondered her plan while waiting for Mitch. Mitch didn't return until it was dark. To prevent Julianne from trying to steal the car keys again, he kept them in a metal box and locked it with a padlock. Julianne then invited Mitch to sleep with her because she knew he always fell asleep afterwards. That was when Julianne would carefully take the iron box key from Mitch. By candlelight, Julianne opened the iron box. She saw a will from Mitch's father, Mitchell Whalen Sr., bequeathing the cabin to Mitch. Julianne finally understood that the initials SR and JR on the wall referred to Mitch and his father. She immediately realized that Mitch had been lying to her all along. Before Mitch woke up, she quickly took the car keys, flashlight, and life jacket that would help her float in the water. Smoothly, Julianne crossed the lake. Unfortunately, Mitch's car wouldn't start. Meanwhile, in the distance, she saw the light of a flashlight. Julianne hurried to find something to protect herself. Coincidentally, there was a hunting rifle in the car. She pointed the rifle at Mitch when he reached the car. Julianne then ordered him to fix the car while continuing to threaten him with the weapon. She couldn't see what Mitch was doing under the open hood. Feeling uneasy, Julianne called out to Mitch from inside the car, but he didn't respond. She let her guard down and wasn't prepared to avoid Mitch breaking the car window. That was the last thing Julianne remembered. Hours later, Julianne woke up. She was startled to find one of her legs chained outside the cabin with a very long chain attached to a tree. Mitch was sitting nearby, damaging the life jacket so Julianne couldn't escape. He knew that without the bag, Julianne couldn't cross the lake. Mitch then revealed that he had deliberately chosen the cabin to be close to his father's grave, which Julianne had found in the forest earlier. Mitch also claimed that Julianne had always wanted to get to know her father. However, it was only then that Julianne learned that Mitch's father had passed away. Mitch then shared that his father was as strict as he was, with a similar personality. Mitch's father instilled the belief that Mitch would only become a true man once he had his own family. For that reason, Mitch wanted to make his late father proud, as he was now married. Mitch made a concerted effort to prevent Julianne from leaving him. After revealing that secret, Mitch's true nature became even more evident. He blamed Julianne for not being grateful that he had provided for her in the cabin and for constantly trying to escape. Mitch then scattered the items in the cabin and blamed Julianne for failing to keep their home neat and tidy. He said he didn't want to hurt Julianne, only to protect her from herself. Then, he threw away Julianne's painting supplies, including the canvas stand he had made for her. In the end, Mitch allowed Julianne to enter, with her feet still chained to the tree. After treating her wounds, Julianne dressed up and cooked a simple meal for Mitch. For a moment, Mitch was silent at Julianne's behavior. But it was only temporary. When Mitch looked for a lighter, Julianne threw it to him, then lit it for him. Mitch waited until Julianne's mood improved before talking to her. He promised that their situation was only temporary. He believed that Julianne would change over time in the cabin with him. Julianne was tired of listening to Mitch's promises. Sadly, she remembered that it was her mother's birthday. Julianne had promised that she would attend her mother's birthday party, but now she was stuck. She was sure that eventually people would come looking for her here. However, Mitch quickly shattered Julianne's belief, as Julianne hadn't told anyone where she was going. Besides, Mitch doubted anyone would find the cabin. Julianne felt frustrated because she was trapped. Indirectly, Mitch admitted that he had married Julianne on purpose because of certain things that prevented her from escaping. Nevertheless, Mitch said his love for Julianne was genuine and would never change. Julianne continued to try to persuade Mitch to release her if he truly loved her. Julianne then expressed her disappointment in marrying Mitch, whom she believed to be different from the men she had dated before. Mitch told Julianne to remember the wedding vows they had exchanged. He insisted on raising their family in that cabin. Julianne cried because there was nothing else she could do. On the days when Mitch was relaxing outside the house, Julianne pondered a plan using the items in the cabin. First, she destroyed their only supply of matches. Mitch angrily scolded Julianne for being careless, and he was forced to go to town to buy new ones. After Mitch left, Julianne quickly grabbed the axe that Mitch had discarded near the lake. Julianne managed to free the chain from her leg. She had to race against time to repair the damaged rubber raft. With the raft, Julianne crossed the lake. Then, she took the animal trap from the forest and brought it back, attaching it to her chain. However, Julianne buried it in the ground so that her leg chain remained visible, tied to the tree. Meanwhile, Mitch had reached the edge of the forest, but his car suddenly broke down. He changed his mind when he saw the automatic lighter in his car. He quickly returned to the cabin and said they no longer needed the lighter. He also informed them that their car was broken, but there was no need to worry because they could survive without it. Worried that her plan would be ruined, Julianne feared what Mitch might do if something happened to her. Mitch confidently assured her he would be fine. Mitch then excused himself to light his new cigarette and gather firewood. Julianne said she would light the fire herself, and Mitch could sit quietly and smoke in the cabin. However, Mitch saw that the chair opposite him was wet. He immediately realized that Julianne had tried to escape earlier. Furious, he confronted Julianne. Not far from them, the rubber raft that Julianne had repaired was lying on the ground. Mitch suddenly hit it, causing it to fall and deflate. Mitch's anger grew even more intense, and this time, he threatened to kill her. Julianne tried to avoid Mitch, even though he kept knocking her down. Mitch tried to choke Julianne with a chain, but she managed to fight back until Mitch stepped on an animal trap. Suddenly, the man screamed in pain and fainted for a moment. Meanwhile, Julianne rushed to grab the car keys from the metal box and Mitch's rifle. At the end of his struggle, Mitch tried to drag Julianne's long chain. Fortunately, Julianne managed to grab Mitch's rifle and shoot his hand, rendering him unable to move. However, Julianne chose to let Mitch bleed out. She unlocked the chain on his leg and said her farewells to Mitch. The heartbroken Mitch could only watch helplessly as Julianne left. This time, Julianne didn't use any tools to cross the lake. The events she had experienced with Mitch had overcome her fear of water. She successfully swam to the dock. Julianne approached her freedom on foot.